Hello there, this is Salas here. Welcome to the ultimate guide on how to learn Spanish. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to get from a totally beginner level to an actual B1 or B2 level by the end of a year. That's right, a year. This takes time and effort. It's not a race, it's a marathon. So let's get ready for it. You'll see that most people on YouTube will tell you that you can learn Spanish in about 1 month or 3 months or 6 months or something. That's just clickbait. It's not true. They're just lying to you. So the only way you can actually learn a language is if you dedicate enough time and you have the right method. What's the right method, you might say? The wrong method is basically anything you can think of right now except for the one I'm going to tell you. And this works. This one works. And I have used it before. And I'm not selling anything. I'm not telling you to buy anything or no, this is just how it works. This is just how language is acquired. So let's just start with the video. So I think most people wouldn't be interested in getting to a C1 or C2 level, but I have included a little part at the end of the video talking about that and how you can actually achieve that if you're interested in that. But it's not necessary, as I said. Most people would be interested in just having like a conversational level at B1 or B2 level, and that's probably enough. That's probably good enough for them. So the first thing you have to do, and people might disagree with me here, but I believe you have to target a specific Spanish. And by this, I mean like, are you going to take lessons, or are you going to consume media based on Spain or Mexico? México es el mejor, deberías escoger México. Sorry, that just came out of me. Just ignore that. But yeah, I believe you have to decide. You can consume obviously as much media as you want, but if you target a specific one, it's going to be much easier to adapt some words. Like for instance, I can tell you that the word marrón, it's widely used in Spain, but in Mexico, for instance, we don't actually use marrón. We say café, like coffee, as the color, you know? So that's a really like a weird thing, right? In some countries, they will say marrón, some countries will say café. So you'll find this all the time. But that's just like... Don't you love Spanish?
Qué difícil es hablar el español, porque todo lo que dices tiene otra definición.
Anyway, so after you have this in mind, you can target one or not. This is an optional step, if you will. But the rest of these steps are not optional, so please hear me out. First of all, you have to start with an app. What do I mean by this? Well, you have to get an app or a book that will get you from 0 to A1 or A2 level. Right? So you can use anything, Duolingo, Busuu, whatever. It really doesn't matter. As long as you use it to get from a 0 level to A1, I would prefer it if it's like A2 level. How can you tell when you get like an A1 or A2 level? That means you have usually finished the beginner part of a book and an app, or maybe 2 books, or maybe 2 apps. That's how you can tell you're done. You're ready to start the actual language now. So yeah, now after you get to that level, this is where the fun part begins. So you have to break that barrier at the beginning, like to get into the language. That's the most difficult part. After that, the fun part begins. People who have been with my channel for a long time, they know I
Dilo tuyo, Bart. Yo no fui.
I always recommend comprehensible input. And the way this works, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have some videos in Spanish. I have no videos about it in English, but hey, you can actually practice your Spanish with that. But I can tell you right now that even if you don't know what comprehensible input is, just hear me out. So you're gonna watch shows in Spanish, and you need to have the audio in Spanish with subtitles in Spanish. And you're gonna watch that until you bleed. But remember, one of the questions you might have right now, it's like, okay, so what do I watch? Children's cartoons or something? No, you have to watch something you like. Now, the reasoning behind this is that if you have an A1 or A2 level, you should be able to understand most of the words, the important words at least, and everything else you'll probably make out as you go. So what do I mean by this? Well, so let's say you're watching a TV show and it has audio in Spanish, and you read the subtitles in Spanish. That will give you like a lot of input from reading the subtitles and listening to the audio. It's gonna help a lot with how you understand the language. So remember, if you're not enjoying this part, you will not be able to learn. You have to enjoy. You're not studying. This is really important to know. You're not studying for this. You have to enjoy what you're watching or what you're listening to. By the way, this is not limited to only shows. You can actually read a book. It's gonna be a little slower and a little bit more boring, unless you really like reading. But that's another possibility. It's just like when you're watching a TV show, you have a lot of input. You have a visual input. You have the audio, right? And you have the text. You have everything basically. So it's much better in terms of how well you can actually understand everything. So that's why I recommend watching TV shows on YouTube, Netflix, whatever you have available for you. So now I know you might be new to the whole Spanish words, so you have no idea what to watch. I'm gonna give you a couple of recommendations right now, just to see what you like. For instance, in Spanish from Spain, you have La Casa de Papel. That's from Spain. Or you have another TV show called Narcos from Mexico. I'm sure most people would be interested in that one. It's basically like a very weird Breaking Bad-ish sort of series. But the three I really recommend, it's basically old animated Mexican movies, and I cannot believe I'm actually recommending this, but it's called Una Película de Huevos. I'm pretty sure if you're not from Mexico, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Just watch it. You'll thank me later. And I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. Just watch them.
¿Y qué pasa si el tiburón se voltea y nos come de regreso?
¿Tenemos otra opción?
Another one, dubbed Disney films are really good, and obviously I cannot recommend Coco enough. That's the best one. The Spanish, it's actually really funny how the Spanish dub has all the same actors that the English one has, right? Because in the English one they wanted to keep it really realistic, so the accent and the pronunciation of some of the words is like Mexican-like, because most of the voice actors were Mexican. So in the Spanish dub, it's just them speaking Spanish. It's really cool. Watch it. And finally, I cannot believe I'm recommending this too, but telenovelas, las telenovelas son muy buenas. They're so good. Like telenovelas are very good because they're just so crazy. Like they exaggerate everything. Like for instance, if I say like no podemos ser amigos nunca más, you probably won't get it. But if you're watching the telenovela, it's like no podemos ser amigos nunca más. You probably will get the idea that that person is not very happy. So at some point you will get to a certain level where you will want to try to remove the subtitles to see how well you do. This is not necessary, but if you try, just keep in mind that it's gonna be much more difficult, and don't feel any shame in just putting them back on. It's totally fine. Another tip I can give you is use an app or a guide to keep track of your progress. If you really want to practice speaking, which is not necessary, but if you really want to practice speaking, just trust me, use Asimil. Asimil, it's a really nice app you can use to actually try to speak while you're learning. So that's the only, just to get used to the pronunciation, probably the accent at times. But to be honest with you, you don't need to speak in this method. Speaking comes naturally after you have received enough input. You can start talking. Some people try to learn backwards. They try to learn by talking. That's not very effective. Actually learn more stuff. So that's basically what you need to do. But remember, you have to enjoy the media. If you're not enjoying the media, you will not learn anything. Because it will feel like a chore. I'm just doing it because I need to learn Spanish. So let me find about the history of the taco in Mexico, let's say. But you're not around. You don't care about Mexico, for instance, so don't watch it. Just go, I don't know, watch something from Spain or something. I don't know, but it has to be fun for you. It has to be interesting for you, because if it isn't, it's just not gonna work. Just so you know. And something that might go wrong here is you will try to use comprehensible input too early. This is not magic. You need to, as the name suggests, you need to comprehend the input. If you don't, you will not learn anything. Why? Well, this is why most people who travel to another country with a low command of the language, right? They end up not learning the language because they even though they're in the country and they see themselves in like forced situations where they have to use the language, they don't actually get it because they cannot understand most of the words or things that they're supposed to do. So they just get by, you know, uttering random sentences. That doesn't work. So, and it will not work with comprehensible input either. So remember, get to an A1 or A2 level with an app or a book. You can do that very easily in like 3 weeks, maybe a month. Very easily. I mean, that's like exaggerating the time. It's probably much less than that. All right, so that's how you get from 0 to a B1 or B2 level, right? That's it. That's about it. And yes, you'll be able to write, you'll be able to speak, you'll be able to listen, and you'll be able to read. Of course you will. That's how this works. You acquire the language, you don't learn it, okay? And now for my fellow people who are interested in getting their Spanish level to a C1 or C2 level, well, guess what? You have 3 options here. The first one is just keep doing it more. Just keep watching more TV shows or series or Netflix or whatever. Just keep doing it. Eventually, you'll get to a point where your command of the language will just increase to such a point where you will actually feel like you're not even watching the show or reading the book in another language. So that's where you know you have a C1 or C2 level. Another thing you could do is just do a C1 or C2 mock Cervantes language certification exams or tests. These are exams like designed with the idea that a foreigner will learn the language and will prove they can actually speak the language. So you can get some more difficult sentences or words or I don't know, like chunks of language by doing that. But this is for nerds. So if you really like geeking out on languages and learn everything you can about them, go for it. I mean, if you do mock exams, you'll do great. Remember, never stop watching TV shows or reading books. Just add the mock exams to them. And finally, the last thing you could do, and I think is the best thing once you reach B1 or B2 level, is to actually move and live in the target country for about 6 months to a year. So why? Because imagine, it's just comprehensible input on steroids if you can actually go out, right? With a B1 or B2 level, you'll get to that C1 or C2 in no time because you'll be able to talk with everyone about everything and it's going to be much easier for you. So hopefully with all this, I made it clear how to acquire the Spanish language in under a year, at least to a B1 or B2 level, which is a realistic goal. Remember, you have to have realistic goals, otherwise you'll be very demotivated once you start learning and you don't see the progress, right? So hopefully this works for you, and well, that's it. If you like the video, please subscribe, leave me a comment on how long have you been learning Spanish for, and what are your goals, and why are you learning the language actually. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Saludos a todos nuestros alumnos autodidactas y futuros políglotas. Class dismissed.